Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. I'm Agi Keramidas and my mission is to inspire you to rise up, grow, stand out and take action towards the next level of your life. I interview leaders, influencers, entrepreneurs, authors, exceptional people who can and will inspire you to improve your life. Tune in for 2 episodes each week and make sure you subscribe to the podcast to get the episodes as soon as they are released. In today's show, it is my real pleasure to speak with Wayne Forrest. Wayne, you are an international transformational speaker and life mastery consultant. In 1995, you had a sporting accident which left you a tetraplegic, and that was the catalyst for your ongoing journey into personal development. You say that this is what has given you the incredible life that you love and you are very grateful for. You have spoken at TEDx, where you shared your journey of struggle, discovery, and growth. And your mission is to enable others to believe that you too can build and live into your dreams and live a life you love, regardless of the challenges, struggles, or perceived disabilities they face. Wayne, I'm delighted to speak with you today. Welcome.
Thank you, Agi. It's awesome to be here, and it's a real pleasure to be on your platform and have this beautiful conversation around transformation and personal development.
Mm-hmm. I'm very much looking forward to it, Wayne, and there are quite a few things really that I want to discuss with you. Before we start, I would like for you to share some background, create a picture for us to understand a little bit more about who you are and how you have become who you are. And I will leave that to you because I know that you are a very, lyrical storyteller. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, we could be the long version or the shorter version, but we'll try to get one in between. I grew up in a very country setting on a farming background, and I, right from an early stage, really immersed myself into that farming life, and was quite capable at an early age in the agriculture scene of sheep and beef farming. And as I grew up, left school, and the other love was sport. And if anyone knows anything about New Zealand, we are terribly passionate about rugby, especially. And many might have heard the All Blacks as a team. And each one of us are very passionate, especially in the country scene around that. And in my mid-20s, I was married and I had a couple of twin girls and had a couple of businesses going, one being a farming business and the other one sharing sheep for a living. And if you know anything about sharing sheep, it's been said that it's like running 3 marathons in a day, so it's quite a challenging physical job. So very fit, and I played rugby for my local club, and the particular day that my accident happened was just like any other day, but I've been working hard and setting up these businesses, and our team was a little bit short, and so I was asked to step up to replace the captain that was away and captain the team, which was a great honor to be the captain on the day. And you could imagine this little country town that I played for, everyone turned out. Everyone knew each other, so I was standing on the side of the field, pretty proud to run on in front of my team, and the game was a rough and physical game, but we were getting a bit of a hiding actually on the field. And just in the last few minutes of the game, we got the ball as a team and did a lovely little move up the sideline, which created a bit of a break. And I remember receiving the ball and taking it into contact with two of the opposition. And boom, next minute, there was just this big bang. And I found myself lying on that rugby field, which was rather cold and muddy, and yelling out, help, help. But no one could hear me. And I realized then that because I damaged my neck, I couldn't breathe. And no one could hear me. But everyone soon realized I was in danger. It took some time to get help through an ambulance, air ambulance, a helicopter. And I was in terrible pain. And the doctor that had traveled down, it was well over an hour, gave me some medicine. And next minute, I kind of passed out. And I woke up 5 days later and I couldn't move anything. It was like a bad dream. I know I spoke about this in the TEDx talk a little bit, but it's still very clear that, just how scared I was lying in that hospital bed. And I had tubes and stuff and couldn't move anything. And I had gone from this very fit and physical young fella, or 25-year-old. And honestly, I was that fit that I could run a half marathon after working all day. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't feed myself. And I couldn't go to the toilet by myself either. And that was the shame in that, just being this country boy that was come from this, I suppose, ego background of sport, farming, drinking. I partied hard. I worked hard, very hard, and partied hard. At 25, you kind of could do that. At 50, you can't. But it was that kind of background, and all of a sudden, this had happened, and I can remember just feeling the shame and this, how frightened I was and scared. And oh mate, there was a big part of me that just wanted to hide under the covers and hide away from everybody in the world. But there was another part of me that just wanted to fight for me and say, come on, get up, get out of that bed. And the thing is, you've got doctors telling you that you're not going to walk again. And they were even telling me I'd never push a wheelchair. I would have to be in an electric wheelchair because the injury in my neck was so high that I wasn't going to have a lot of function, which, by the way, I don't still have up and now, full use of my hands or arms. But I did. I got up and I went to the gym every day and I started having goals, and I created that first goal of pushing out of that hospital, which I did. And then it was because I wanted, my first love was farming. So the next goal was farming, so I created that goal, right? I'm going to go back and run my farm. And I had little goals in that of I need to learn to drive so I could get around the farm and things like that, which took a little bit of time of, doing my exercises, weights and things like that. And I started achieving these goals, and before I knew it, I'd run that. I was running the farm again and getting around on a four-wheeler or six-wheeler at that time, which I put a car seat in and, made it doable. It's amazing what you can come up with, when you start creating these goals.
Well, is
And
it all right if I take back a little bit, if I rewind a little
yeah,
bit now,
yeah,
and
definitely.
because you talked about fear and the way that you were feeling fearful at that time in the hospital, and we all know how powerful fear is and can be debilitating. Yet you chose the other road, not fear, but the courage to face your life the way it would change as a result of your accident and how you were. So you have a good understanding in fear, very much. So can you go into a little bit more detail about that, how you perceived fear and how you dealt with it, and even some maybe advice on someone who allows fear to dominate their behavior?
Beautiful, beautiful topic, Aggie, and it's a big one. And I don't know if there's any right answers. But what I've learned in this journey is the more I faced that fear and the more I took a step towards that fear, the more I learned that fear wasn't anything to be scared of. And the more I did it, the more it came comfortable, and the more it didn't rule my life as much as it did. And it's still a journey. I think fear comes up in so many different ways. We can be fearful of just taking that phone call or doing that phone call that we have to, or in our businesses, or doing the podcast, or reaching out. There's some beautiful. I just watched another TEDx. I can't think what his name was. Jay, someone, a young American Chinese man, and he was talking about stepping into his fear. 100 failures. So he went out and did a podcast, and I did a documentary about finding 100 failures, or 100 people to say no. Sorry, it was.
I see. Yeah.
And that can be fear, right? Fear can show up by just asking someone, or asking that pretty girl out on a date. And that is where the growth is. If it's scary and it's not going to take your life, then step towards it, because that is the essence of life. That's where the beauty is, because as soon as we get outside of that comfort zone, it's that comfort zone, for one, is only the border of the unknown that we haven't known before. And fear rises up because we don't want to fail, and whatever that is. But as soon as we step past that, all of a sudden the magic happens on the other side. And I think that's what true courage is being able to do it afraid. And you can be totally nervous, sweating in a bucket full, and I want to say swear here, Agi. You can be really packing it as far that you literally feel sick. And if you can still take a step, even when it's that scary, that is incredible courage. But the beauty in that is when you step past that border onto the other side, it's it's just it's so beautiful, and the lessons that we can learn from that. Is that helpful?
Yeah, on the other, I was about to say that on the other side of that comfort zone, where we need to be courageous and step out of that, that's where confidence exists as well. Our confidence is when we actually break through that invisible barrier of our limitations, and do something that scares us, using our courage, because the whole point of courage is for fear to be there. Otherwise, you're not courageous if you don't feel fear at the same time. And it's something that and the failures as well that you discussed are always a part of this journey of progress. And we have many times we have learned the opposite thing, especially at school, that it's not good to fail, and we try everything to avoid to fail, and that of course holds us back, because some things you can never have certainty that you're going to achieve them unless you try. And sometimes you try and you fail, but it's not failure. It's that's a very wrong term, really, failure. So what are your thoughts on that, by the way?
Beautiful point, and all I can do is relate to that. I found out at the time of my accident, because I was dealing with my accident, I had chosen to deal with it a certain way, which was quite positive, that they were a bit worried about me, and they did a psych test on me, and I struggled at school. And it was then that I found out that I was dyslexic. And so I failed a lot at school, and I was always trying to hide it. And it's funny how everything happens that gives you the tools to go forward, because the psych test came back that I was actually above average. And all of a sudden it was like I wasn't dumb anymore. I'd been telling myself how dumb I was for years because of those failures at school. And as we discover in this journey of spiritual principles and spiritual growth and personal development, and I think that personal development goes hand in hand with spiritual growth. We discover that we're all born genius. You mightn't be good at something at school, like I wasn't good at English. Yet it was my first subject, first language, I mean. But yet I had other skills. I had other talents. And I think we're majority of every human being that's born has genius in them, and then we get conditioned by school, society, and our parents. But of course, that's not their fault. It's because they were conditioned by those same things.
Absolutely.
And so it's I'll put it this way, Agi, because I've got off the question a little bit. Struggles, challenges, the crap in our lives. As human beings, we're not foreign from it. It's been in our evolution and our existence right from the beginning. It's part of our existence. So as human beings, as we've evolved, it's part of our curriculum to evolve from our real tough times, even like this pandemic at the moment. we're going to evolve from this because we have in the past. There's been other viruses. And by the way, if anyone's lost loved ones in that, I'm not saying it's meant to happen or anything, because, it's hard to lose someone that you love. So I'm sending lots of love out there for anyone who's been affected by this. But we're definitely, as human beings, going to grow from it. And we're going to evolve from it. So it's part of our curriculum and evolution as human beings. And that's the way I now look at my accident was the same. It's part of my evolution and curriculum, so I can evolve and grow.
And you said something, it made an impression on me on your TEDx talk. You said that struggles bring gifts and disability brings new ability. And that was something, it's a great way of phrasing it, that what happens brings something new if we, allow ourselves to see it like that.
And yeah, and just, a quote from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, which is a book out there that was written back in the 30s. Bob Proctor has it as his little daily Bible, if you like to call it. And I think there's a quote in it, and I hope I've got it right, but in every adversity, there is a seed of opportunity, or that is greater, or as equal or greater than the challenge. And so, that's if we are open to it, there is a seed. And for me, I was a very physical guy. And if I look back at it now, again, if I had my injury even a little bit lower, I would have made it happen my old life again somehow. So I needed that independence to be stripped so I could find my seed of opportunity of going into the self-development and changing my life completely, to now helping others discover that seed of opportunity and the paradigms of thinking that are holding them back, and helping them grow. And mate, that is one hell of a gift, to have discovered that and to be on this journey. And sorry,
I was thinking of asking you, in terms of your emotional journey, after the accident, because I can only imagine that in the beginning you would have resentment, bitterness, apart from the fear that you said, maybe hatred against whatever happened and why it happened and all these things as a 25-year-old young chap. So how did you go from that, or when did you go from that towards acceptance and gratitude, and what you were saying now, that it happened for you in order for you to live the life that you were meant? You didn't say it exactly like that, but that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, and great question. And yes, it took time. I have been quoted to say, it's very much like losing your best friend, because you lose your ego, and you go through those emotions of losing someone really close to you. You are angry. You go through those sadnesses and dark times. And I definitely went through some dark times, because my first marriage wasn't it wasn't obviously meant to happen or stay together, and so that was split up soon afterwards. I had two little girls, and I'd lost everything. So you can imagine the darkness that was right behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got to the point where I knew that I had to change. I had to do something. I had to come out fighting and fight for my life back, or else I was going to go down that dark hole. And so for me, it was then I had to face that fear, that the situation, and um, and start creating a life again. And so that's also probably was when I started asking those questions of what's this life about? Why am I here? Why did this have to happen to me? And you then start, if you are open to it without the blame, you start to get a different answer than what you would have got when you're in that trap of poor me. Why did this happen? And that's when I started discovering that I was more capable of just my physical limits. And it's funny, Aggie, I know these principles now, and I've only started coaching them, and I started this personal development probably about 5 or 6 years ago now. And so, that's the 25-year-old journey from my accident. So I look back now and I can see that I had implemented some of the principles that I got taught 6 years ago or 5 years ago. And it's really interesting how that, what was I trying to put across here, that there's a system.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back now, and everything I put a vision out with that knowledge that it was possible,
Mm-hmm.
I achieved. Now, if I knew that at the beginning, wow, what would be possible? Because, doctors tell you that you can't walk again. You take that belief on, and society tells you, and whatever, and you start to believe that subconsciously. Mm-hmm. And now, as you develop into and grow your spiritual principles, the more you understand that everything I think is, if I think there's a possibility, then there's a possibility.
Yeah.
And if you start to concentrate on that possibility instead of the lack or the disability, then the more that possibility will grow as the seed. It is a seed of opportunity. We have to water that seed. We have to give it sunshine with affirmations, positivity, vibration, laughter, love. Love is the biggest one. That is where all those others stem from, like laughter, fun, joy. So the more you bring that sun and water that possibility.
Can I add one more thing to that list of things you put
Yes.
there? I would also add the faith and the patience when you don't see things happening as fast as you maybe were hoping to happen, and not to lose your faith, not to lose your heart, but keep at it and keep on watering in the sun. And what you were saying, just add that element of having faith and patience. And for me, in a way, they're similar.
But and someone put it this way for me not that long ago, actually. It's like ordering a coffee. I don't know where they got it from. You know, when you go to Starbucks or whatever coffee place, you order your coffee, right? And sometimes you have to have patience because it takes more than 5 minutes. but you know it's coming. You know it's coming, and at the end of it, in most cases, you know it's going to be what you ordered. And it's the same with that possibility and that faith, as you were saying. And once we nurture that faith, it soon becomes a belief that it can happen. And when it becomes a belief, then it's got no choice but to happen.
I liked it, this analogy with ordering coffee. It's very simple and it really explains it. If you think about it carefully, it is true. Wayne, I would also like to ask you about your coaching. And the first thing I wanted to ask really is you say you are a life mastery consultant. So I wanted you to expand on this as a title. So what is life mastery for you?
A life mastery, mate, is a life learning to master. You know, life mastery is about discovering and always practicing to master my own life. And so, as a coach, I'm in the practice of mastering my own life, and by doing that, I'm always studying, always growing, always going the next step, always pushing the boundaries and going out of my fear. And so I help others discover that principle of lifelong learning, really, of taking it to the next level of awareness. What my coaching is, it's evocative. So it is drawing out the answers by evocative questions to the clients. So they are discovering the journey and discovering their passion and power and discovering that life that we all seek, one of love and one that we love.
And that's one of the best feelings, isn't it? That fulfillment when you help someone else discover something they had inside of them, but they had, hid it under, layers of whatever else is people put on top of their unique abilities to cover it. Even from it's a great feeling when someone uncovers it with your help, isn't it?
It's the best feeling because we're only walking beside them, and it's every client is the highest authority on their own personal development. They know the answers. It's inside of them. So it's really just drawing them out, and it's a pleasure to have that experience with them and beside them.
When you said earlier, and I actually agree with you, the way you said it, that personal development goes hand in hand with spirituality or spiritual development. So spiritual growth, I think you said at that time. So I wanted to ask you, and it's like some quick fire questions. So first of all, what does personal development mean to you as a term? How would you describe it?
Well, discovering what is stopping you from creating that love that full of passion and that life, full of passion and love. That's what personal development is for me, is actually everyone deserves a life that they absolutely love. And it's a journey to discover that.
And what about spiritual growth? What does that mean for you?
Well, it means that there's a power that is breathing us. This universe is incredible. It's, how does that moon sit where it is with gravity, and how does life exist? There has to be some sort of power. I don't have, for me it's love or space. I love Dr. Joe's analogy that space has an intelligence. So look around you, look at the space. So if that's got intelligence, right, even in your room or in your office, there's space. And so that space has got intelligence. So that space has got possibility. That is spiritual development for me. It's creating the possibility of love in every aspect of your life and in society, humanity. So that's what it is for me.
The word miracle came to mind when you were describing that it is a miracle. And I think it was Einstein that said we always have the choice to either see life as a miracle or not, because it will completely change our outlook if we think it's a beautiful universe with love, or if we believe it's a hostile environment that we have to struggle and survive. It's going to completely change the way we behave.
And Agi, just to add to that, science is proving it now through metaphysics and quantum physics and energetics. These things are proving that the space has an intelligence. So, it's not just spiritual teachings anymore. It's science that's starting to come on board and teach it, with the likes of Dr. Joe and Dr. Deepak Chopra and others like that are creating science that backs up this old, ancient spiritual principles.
Yeah. Dr. Bruce Lipton also comes to mind as one of those people with epigenetics, and I think this is a big topic, of course, but what you were saying, this merging of spirituality, science, everything comes, I think, together, especially at this particular time in the history of humanity, with what's going on with the virus. Everything is changing, and I believe it's really up to us again to what outlook we will choose to have on this situation. What attitude? Are we going to see it as the end of the world and oh my God, everything changes, how can I cling to what I used to have? Or go with the change and see that this is meant to happen. It was it was believed that it would happen. I mean, it's a matter of us going with, adapting with the situation, looking at it in a positive outlook, and going with it and evolving along with the evolution of humanity or the planet or everything, really.
And I just think that if nothing's going to change unless we change our thinking, because it all starts there. It's everything is created by a thought. If everyone looked around them right now and looked at my desk, has got pens and papers, and I've got a desk, computer, window, house, even my little farm that we have here it's all been created by thought, and then it's been created into a thing or into a form. And so everything's been created that way. And then, so if you can really think about and hold that thought with love and possibility, then anything is possible for humanity going forth.
I like it. It's a very positive message. If you could go back in time and see your 18-year-old self, what's one piece of advice you would tell him?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would like to go back to the 5-year-old, but if it was 18, I'd say just love yourself. Love yourself. It's quite funny. I argue this is maybe another topic, but I can see the line of thinking that created my accident, and it was all down of I'm not enough. I had to prove myself. My ego was always trying to prove myself to society, to my mates, to my family, to my dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say to my 18-year-old self, I'd give him a big hug and say, just love yourself, my friend. Just love yourself. You are enough.
Fantastic. Let me ask you one more hypothetical question then, Wayne. If you could wave a magic wand and change something in the world as it is today, what would you change?
I would like to teach everybody on the world that every hate crime, every hurt on the world, every person that is hurt and hurting someone else, or every country, the understanding that they feel the pain of what they're dishing out on other people. So I would like to give them that understanding that it's okay. Just love yourself. Because if everyone loved themselves, they would never hurt anyone else.
Thank you. When emerging from this conversation that we've had, if you were to give to the listener one actionable item, something they can pick up straight away and implement, what would you tell them?
Well, I've got a free gift around that, but I would say just step into your fears and forgive. Two things. It would have to be two things, Agi.
Sure. It's yes. Step into your fears and forgive. Forgive others and yourself. I suppose you mean both.
Yes, both. Definitely.
Good. Do you want to tell me then about the gift that you mentioned, and also how can people connect with you?
Well, I've created a free gift, which has got a value of probably about around, it's hard to put a value on these things, but the value is around $500 US dollars. So it's a free downloadable gift from my website, which is called the Dream Life Blueprint. And so anyone can go to my website, which is Wayne Forrest. Forrest as in trees, but two R's, like run Forrest, run. but ironic considering I'm in a wheelchair. But yeah, WayneForrest.com, and you'll see the blueprint there. And so download that, and it's a 10-minute meditation that they can listen to, and twice a day, mate, it will help. And there's a couple of teachings that come along with it. So I'd like to give that to anybody who would like to start somewhere.
Sure. And someone who wants to connect with you, or can they send you an email from your website? Or Facebook, something like that?
Yeah, on Facebook or Instagram, just reach out.
Cool. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
When this has been a very enjoyable conversation for me. I really enjoyed your message and your passion in sharing what you have experienced in your life and learned in your journey of growth. So I'm very grateful that you shared this with me today, and I want to wish you all the very best in your mission to little by little transform others. Any last parting words?
No, I think you've said it all. I think we've given lots of information out there. Thank you, Agi, for what you do, and thank you for having me. I'm very grateful for you and your message out to the world. So thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and rate Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts, and also share this episode with someone who you think will benefit from it. If you want to become part of an exclusive community, gain access to unique content, and at the same time support this podcast, then become my patron. The link is in the show notes, or you can type bit.ly/pdmpat. If you want to know more about what I do and how I can help you, join my Facebook group Personal Development Mastery. Again, the link is in the show notes, or you can simply type bit.ly/pdmgroup. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in,